Hi everyone, it's Ann at Martin House Flowers. It's a pretty wet, blustery day out there today, so I thought it was a perfect day to pot up to my dahlias in order to pre-sprout them. I can't put them out into the garden even though they were delivered yesterday. I can't put them out into the garden until the earliest end of April after my last frost. So I thought I would follow what some of my other fellow YouTubers are doing and pot them up to see if they will pre-sprout and take you along for that. And also, I wanted to talk about zinnias today because as much as I don't have that much room in my under my grow lights indoors, I do have probably space for 3 10 by 10s. I think I calculated, and I might even put some out here in the greenhouse. Don't really know where since my floor space is now pretty much maxed out. I can barely get in front of my chairs. And as much as I wanted to carry out some containers this weekend, it'll all be weather permitting. So thanks for joining me today, and I hope you will like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, and of course share and comment if you have any questions or feedback. Hopefully you caught yesterday's video where I unboxed my dahlia order. I received 2 orders, one from Longfield Gardens and 4 varieties there. Were all pretty good. So I have those here in front of me. And then out of the K. Van Burgundian order, only 1 variety looked viable. So I'm going to go ahead and pot up everything that I can. And I'm just going to take some regular potting mix. I pre-moistened my tub here, mostly for soil blocking, but I think I'll just set this down for now, and we'll talk about our zinnias after we pre-sprout or plant up the dahlia tubers. So I just walked into the garage, and I recently purchased a few perennials and violas for my front porch containers. And so these are perfectly handy. They're, I'm not even going to wash them out because I pretty much scooped out the entire plant and their roots. And this is just a temporary spot for the dahlia tubers because I will be planting them into the ground. But the nice thing is that this gives me some time to figure out after the last frost where in the garden I'm planning to put them. I'm thinking a little bit about putting them in my middle raised garden bed area where my zinnias are planned to go in because they're also a late summer flowering annual. So we'll see what happens. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some potting mix. I'm hoping that my microphone drowns out most of the rain that's out there, the wind and the rain. Using up quite a bit of potting mix, but I will be able to definitely reuse this. Let's grab a small one too, just in case there's a small tuber. So I'm just filling them up about 3/4 of the way. I won't water them until after. Might even set them out in the rain. And I do need to grab some labels. I should probably have my labels close by, but let me grab those. Wow, this tuber had several eyes on it, so that was pretty exciting. That was a dinner plate dahlia. So there we have it. All four of my tubers from Longfield Gardens are potted up, and the hope is that they will pre-sprout and that I will potentially get earlier blooms. By pre-sprouting, one, the advantage is that you're able to see if the tuber is viable because it will pre-sprout prior to putting it into the ground. And the second advantage is that you could potentially get earlier blooms than if you just planted them directly into the ground after your last frost. So this first group that I planted here, unfortunately the sound was not working when I was filming. I was getting a few phone calls, so I think that might have interfered with my footage. But anyway, this is the Dahlia Ball Stoles von Berlin. Dahlia Ball Stoles von Berlin. And it's a pinky purple color. Two large pots. This one here is a Dahlia dinner plate, and this is Breakout. This is similar to the Cafe au lait, but with more peachy pink tones as opposed to Cafe au lait, which is more creamy in color. And then the third one here is another Dahlia dinner plate, and this is Lavender Perfection. I have the two there. And then there was a tiny little tuber that I'm just testing to see if it will root and pre-sprout. This is the Dahlia Ball Stoles von Berlin. That's part of this group here. And this last one here, so I guess I have 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, 4 varieties from Longfield. This is Dahlia Pom Pom Franz Kafka. And I have that pot there, this one, larger one here, and then a smaller one. It's a pom-pom that's about 3 to 4 inches wide, so the tuber isn't that big. One of them was the biggest one, and the one in front here, and then a couple smaller ones. So this likely one isn't going to, the smaller one here is likely not going to pre-sprout, but I thought I'd just put it in just for the sake of it. Now look at the rain. Can you hear that? I put this arrangement on the inside when it's cold and blustery, but we are getting definitely some rain. And Mama Duck is over there. Is she over? Yep, I can see her. But we need this rain. This grass over here needs it. And we're getting a nice wash of the patio floor. So not a day to be planting anything out there. My winter sowing jugs are all out there getting some rain, so that's good. So I'm just going to give them a nice light watering. Let's see if we can find a tray to put these in. Not strong enough. So it's the next day, and I did manage to pot up all of the dahlia tubers from Longfield Gardens yesterday. And as you saw, I've put them on a tray. I didn't carry the tray over because unfortunately it wasn't strong enough to hold those pots. I should have known better. So right now they're just sitting underneath the chair, and I was doing some research as to whether to cover the tubers with the soil or to let the neck of the tuber sit above the soil. And what I did find out was that if you wanted to um, collect cuttings from your tubers, then at that point you would leave the neck above the soil level, probably about an inch roughly. And then when you start to see seedlings come up, you look for some strong little leaf nodes, and you would cut on those tubers. Now, since it's my first time working with tubers, I don't think I want to venture in that direction. And I think I'm quite good in covering the tubers the way they are. And apparently, it might take a few weeks for them to grow. And sometimes you want to wait till they have leafed out to about 12 inches roughly. Or you can also choose at this point, when it's this close to your last frost date. In my case, my last frost date will be in a couple of weeks. I could just hold off and plant the tubers directly into the ground or into my raised bed area where I'm planting. But I thought, it's worth giving it a shot to pre-sprout the tubers in these containers, and it took a little bit of soil. I definitely wouldn't want to do that if I had, say, 50 to 100 tubers and pre-sprout them all. I would have to have the storage space, I'd have to have the soil, all of that to do that. And I'll show a clip of what my floor space looks like right now in the greenhouse. It is more than half full. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to have shelves in the next few weeks. So I'm just now rethinking about how much space I have down here. So I did want to talk about zinnias in the second half of this video because it is about um, anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks away from my last frost. And so in my photo box container here, that's in my larger box, I have April to May to August direct sow. And as many of you probably are aware and have heard, that zinnias are a great cut flower to direct sow. Now, last year I did a little test and I did direct sow some zinnias. I direct sowed them in a bed that had originally stock in it, and stock is a one and done early spring flower. So I think by the end of May, that bed was finished. The stock crop was finished, so I direct sowed some zinnias, and they came up pretty quickly. But what I did notice is when you direct sow, you don't have as much control in your spacing of the seedling, and I didn't end up thinning them out. However, I did find that although I tried to have the seedlings spaced about 6 inches apart, 6 to 8 inches apart, I did notice that I got powdery mildew in that bed of zinnias that were direct sowed versus when I did my zinnias in soil blocks. I also did sow some seeds in cell packs. I might have, I can't recall, I'd have to check my notes, but I probably did them in my 24 cell trays or maybe in 4 cell trays or 6 cells. But in any case, I recall that my soil blocks were the most successful, and that my soil blocks are about a 2 inch soil block. So that was the perfect method that worked for me, and I'm going to do that this year. And I also have some 4 cell bootstrap farmer trays, so I might do a few in those as well. I only have room right now in under my grow lights in the house for 3 10 10s, 10 by 10 trays, or 1 10 20 and 1 10 10, just based on what is still sitting under grow lights. And this shelf that I have here, my 36-inch shelf here, I'm not, it isn't plugged in at the moment. It's just basically my hardening off shelf, and it's currently holding my sweet peas, trays and trays of snapdragons, some yarrow, some salvia, some petunias. I actually started hardening off my petunias in here because it hasn't the forecast is not to go below 40 in here, and today is a 77-degree day. But if you notice behind me, the trees are moving around pretty briskly. It's a pretty windy day. But until I came in here this afternoon, it was probably pretty humid in here because it was warm. You know, obviously it's not sunny, it's cloudy, but definitely it's humid. And look at my beautiful grape hyacinths and my, oh my goodness, my violas and pansies are coming up nicely. But some of my tulips in here in this heat have already finished off, and they're just going so quickly, and I just haven't been able to get at the corner to be able to carry them out. And again, the wind is so severe that either the wind is going to um, damage my tulips at this point since they've already bloomed. So I've decided to just sort of leave them in here. But the grape hyacinths are loving the heat in here. They're so beautiful right now. So I want to take some nice close-up shots of my grape hyacinths. I'm super thrilled with them. So yeah, I mean, this has been a learning this year in this greenhouse. It's my first spring here. I definitely wouldn't have been able to do as much in growing early, starting in February as I did. I started my snapdragons at the end of February, and my pansies at the end of January. But I digress. Let's talk about zinnias. And I have an entire container here of zinnias, this many, too many. So I wanted to talk about, first off, my new varieties that I bought. And let's see here. Starting off from Johnny's, all of my new varieties, I did break down. I went on to Johnny's website and I saw these varieties and I fell in love with them. The first one is Ballerina. I'm sure you've heard a lot about Ballerina. It's very pretty. Closest thing I would think to a floret zinnia, and Floret Zinnia, sorry, and I was not one of the lucky ones to purchase any of her seeds when they were available last year. So this was my answer to having a nice pastel zinnia. And it suggests that you can sow these in 72 cells or any preferred seedling container. And as I mentioned, I will be soil blocking or using my 4 cell bootstrap farmers. You can also direct seed after your last frost when the soil is warm, and you sow them a 1/4 inch deep. Cover lightly but firmly. Keep surface from drying out until emergence. And another thing about direct sowing in my area, it is so windy here that when you are direct sowing, especially when you don't have to, when there's surface sowed seeds, or you just, they're kind of just below the surface by about a quarter inch like this, there's a really good chance that the wind is going to blow them away when it's that windy. So another good reason for me to start my zinnias indoors. So I have ballerina, I have Oklahoma salmon, and I remember reading, if I'm not mistaken, that the Oklahoma series are known for being less prone to powdery mildew. So I'm super happy about that. And they do say to sow your zinnias about 4 weeks before your last frost. So if you have your last frost happening in middle of May, this is a good time. Mid-April is a good time to sow your zinnia seeds indoors. My next zinnia that I ordered from Johnny's new this year is the certified organic MOFGA zinnia. It's Aurora OG, and I recall that this might be kind of a orangey apricot. I don't think it was the fringed one, but anyway, I will drop in a photo of all these. But Aurora OG is my third one. Sorry, Eddie is, I don't know who he's barking at. Maybe the bunnies. Then I have Oklahoma Carmine. They all have the same instructions. You want to grow on 60 to 65 degree nights and 70-degree Fahrenheit days. So that tells me that my evenings here in the greenhouse are still too cool to have them started in the greenhouse. So maybe in a couple weeks when it gets warmer, I will be able to start my zinnia seeds indoors in the greenhouse when it's a minimum 60 to 65 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit during the day. So it's funny that I read here that the soil requirements and light requirements is sun. Definitely zinnias like sun. And they say that they want fertile soil, rich in organic matter, and no support is necessary, which is great. So the reason I say that that's interesting is I've seen other flower farmers talk about how zinnias don't like good soil. You can work with the worst soil and they don't like anything that's too rich in nutrients. Yeah, all of Johnny's seeds say the same, that they want rich soil, rich in organic matter soil. So that is it for my new 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got Oklahoma salmon, ballerina, carmine, and aurora. Those are the 4 I've never sown before. Super excited about those. Now, all these other ones, I tried to divide them up into 2 categories. The first one being Bennery's Giants, and many of you have heard about Bennery's Giants. They tend to be the larger flower. Let's see if they say here how big they are. Bennery's Giants, they typically can be anywhere from 3 to 5 inches in diameter. Some of them are as wide as your hand. So anyway, I've had great success with Bennery's Giant. I have salmon rose here. This package was open, so I did grow these last year. I will pop in some photos of some of my live photos arrangement photos with some zinnias. They're not specific to the colors necessarily, but anyway, salmon rose is lovely. I have a new package here of Bennery's Giant Purple, and I did buy another package of these because I grew them last year, and I think I direct sowed them, and I didn't get as many as I wanted, so I definitely want to do a tray, maybe at least a 10 by 10 tray of just the purple. Looks like I have another carmine rose. Oh, no, that's a different one. So I have salmon rose and I have carmine rose. A creamy yellow giant dahlia flowered zinnia. And this one was an amazing deal because I think I got 1,000 seeds in this little package. And it's definitely a creamy yellow. You can see here that it all faded and I just wrote over it. But I have so many seeds in here. And what I did notice about zinnias, and sometimes you see that with other cut flowers, the paler the color, the more they seem uh, attractive to pests. So I do remember that a little bit, but there's so many of them here. There's a really great chance that you'll get a good harvest with how many to give you. I have another Bennery's Giant Coral package here. I don't think I bought another coral. Nope. I have, this is my original Giant Purple, and I have Giant Pink. So that's how many Bennery's Giants I have. And then I have a bunch of Queen Lime series, and most of them I got from, I bought these last year from Baker Creek or rareseeds.com. So I have Zinnia Queen Lime Orange, which is a beautiful, just like the color, there's different shades of the orange. There's Queen Lime Red, which was one of my favorites, and I don't have very many seeds left, so I'm definitely going to use these up. There's just a few in here. Queen Lime, the way it looks. I have Queen Lime Blush. Sun's coming out. It's getting bright. I have Polar Bear. Polar Bear was one, I have quite a few, that did get a little bit of pest pressure. From Johnny's, I have Queenie Formula Mix, which is a mixture of like the reds and oranges and yellows. And then I have, oh good, I have more Queenie Red Lime, a new package of it. So I'm really happy about that because I'm definitely low on my package from Rare Seeds. And the last one, I remember buying this at the Botanic Gardens in Utah there, Salt Lake City. And that was Zinnia Envy from Botanical Interest. And again, I didn't get the most, I direct sowed them, so I don't remember having a ton of germination direct sowing. So I really want to do that through my soil blocks or my 4-cell packs. So that's it for the zinnias that I am growing today. If you want to see me doing some soil blocking, I have a lot of other seed starting videos where I was soil blocking, and I can link those below. I'm feeling the pressure a little bit because I am approaching my last frost date, and I have a personal thing coming up at the end of the first week of May. So I'm trying really hard to get a lot of things done before that first week of May. And as you all know, as gardeners, it's a super busy time. So thank you so much for joining me if you made it this far. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.